Kids WB will be right back.
Yup, after these messages.
And we hope that you'll be back too.
The beginnings of the 21st century were a summit for animation fandom on television. Nickelodeon, featuring a wide swath of legendary and increasingly popular animated series, added sub-brand cable channel Nicktoons Network in 2002, a 24/7 hub for its animated programming. This was flanked by a programming expansion to its broadcast network block, Nick on CBS, which mixed younger Nick Jr. programming now with Nicktoons. Fox, which had launched its kid-focused block, Fox Kids, years before Kids WB, and was an iconic name through the 90s, was not only sliding into irrelevance, but was being replaced. The network would sell its Fox Family Entertainment assets and brand to Disney, as well as completely sell its Saturday morning airtime on the original network to 4Kids Entertainment, replacing the decade-old Fox Kids for Fox
Forever!
Disney, which launched the One Saturday Morning programming block on ABC after acquiring the broadcast network in 1996, reshaped the time slot, using programming from cable networks Disney Channel and Toon Disney to develop ABC Kids. NBC, which hadn't been competitive in the Saturday morning kids demographic, jumped in with Discovery Kids on NBC. Now's a better time than ever to mention the United Paramount Network, or UPN. Stylized from the same skeleton Fox used to develop its national footprint, the United Paramount Network would build a programming lineup to become a sustainable fifth network to launch on January 16, 1995. That may sound familiar because it is. Warner Brothers used that exact same skeleton to launch the WB network, launched on January 11, 1995. The kicker was that Warner quickly built their network after Paramount announced plans for theirs. The two networks would skew in opposite directions with their programming, and one of the key examples was how they aimed kids programming. UPN completely avoided competing with Fox Kids and newcomer Kids WB, instead airing UPN Kids on Sunday mornings. Somehow talks fell through with Nickelodeon, a network within the same family, and UPN instead worked with Disney, becoming the home for Disney's 1-2, a complementary block to Disney's One Saturday Morning. That takes us back to the early 2000s. The point was that whether you had a cable package or you were swinging an antenna to get any local network signal you could, this was a great time for animation fandom.
My name is...
Introducing the Mighty Kids meal, only from McDonald's.
Because you at home decide who will become the next American Idol.
Kids WB now had a greater onslaught of competition than at any time in history. But that wide array of competition didn't matter. Kids WB was on top of the mountain and couldn't be touched. Original series Static Shock and The Zeta Project, now in its final year, were joined by Mucha Lucha, a series that would become a mainstay and hit for the block, Ozzy and Drix, the series based from Osmosis Jones, and What's New Scooby-Doo, the first Scooby-Doo series in over a decade. Toonami on Kids WB was dropped, and with it, Dragon Ball Z, Sailor Moon, and Samurai Jack retreated from Kids WB.
Kids WB is under attack! Watch out! It's Moto Jojo and his most diabolical! Is there nothing we can do to stop his evil reign of monkey madness? Oh, Powerpuff Girls, we need your help! That's right! They're coming to Kids WB to fight the forces of evil!
Powerpuff Girls would debut and be the remaining series from Cartoon Network, though the arrival of the trio was theoretically only to promote their upcoming theatrical film. With DBZ and Sailor Moon out, the 4Kids duo Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Were the remaining anime, alongside acquired series Cubix, Jackie Chan Adventures, Max Steel, The Mummy, The Nightmare Room, Phantom Investigators, Rescue Heroes, and X-Men Evolution.
The new Rugrats 10th Anniversary Decade in Diapers Collector's Edition.
Walkie-talkies get it done.
Adults are planning a hostile takeover of the Cartoon Network, and we need your help. Watch the Codename Kids Next Door mission.
Currently in your area, 57 degrees, under mostly cloudy skies.
What's the call when you're top of the heap? Of course, continue on the content that's giving you that lead to begin with. Kids WB's continued dominance into 2003 was led by Yu-Gi-Oh!, X-Men Evolution, and Pokemon in that order. Mucha Lucha, Static Shock, The Mummy, Ozzy and Drix, Jackie Chan Adventures, and What's New Scooby-Doo proved nearly as successful, pulling in a wide swath of viewers as well. Kids WB didn't solely stick with the content that was giving them success. 2003 would be the final year for a number of series, even successful ones. All acquired series exited. Baby Looney Tunes would see its way out, the same year Looney Tunes Back in Action hit theaters. The film's failure presented the Looney Tunes brand as grandly more irrelevant than it was just half a decade prior. 3 new series replaced them, a risky move that could send network ratings on the decline or skyward. The sci-fi anime series Mega Man NT Warrior, based from the game series of the same name, debuted in May with high ratings. It was the other 2 series that would garner such recognition, they would be icons for years to come.
Every superhero needs a great battle cry. Titans, press start! It was tough to find the right one. Rock and roll! Thunder Pie! Tomo Arigato! I had almost given up. Just go. That's it! Titans, go! Teen Titans, this Saturday at 9, 8 Central and Pacific, here on Kids WB.
Launched on both Cartoon Network and Kids WB, the anime-inspired, designed, yet superhero-based Teen Titans was grandly more successful on Cartoon Network, being the highest-rated new series for that channel that year. On Kids WB, the series was only moderately successful, not blowing up ratings like on its sister network.
I order you to spill your internal organs right now!
What kind of sick people are you?
But it was the November debut of Zhaolin Showdown that would become one of the block's major players. Zhaolin ratings significantly widened the already solid ratings lead Kids WB had against its television rivals. Kids WB still proudly stood as the highest-rated Saturday morning block. Unfortunately, there were small fractures revealing themselves on the network the block itself was based from.
Time for some new heroes. Sonic heroes. 12 heroes.
ITT Technical Institute. Education for the future. To find out.
And now the Chantastic Cookie of Fortune.
This cookie is for everyone who was born in 1999.
The year of the rabbit.
You will find a fortune in a cookie. Well, duh.
The dominance of Kids WB found in the early 2000s was truly brilliant, but that dominance was about to be questioned. Nearly a half dozen cartoons ended their run on the block the prior year, only replaced by 3 premiering series alongside remaining ones. WB originals Mucha Lucha, Ozzy and Drix, Static Shock, Teen Titans, What's New Scooby-Doo, Zhaolin Showdown welcomed The Batman, while The Boom Crew and Astro Boy joined acquired series Jackie Chan Adventures, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Mega Man NT. Another Cartoon Network original was added to the Kids WB lineup after both Powerpuff Girls and Samurai Jack's exit in 2002.
Yo, number 5 here, listen up. We got an important mission and I don't got a lot of time, alright?
While codename Kids Next Door was popular and crucial to the continuing cartoon legacy, the show's success wouldn't spread to Kids WB. 2004 was, quite simply, the most important year for the block after the turn of the century, as it would be the initial start of a snowballing ratings decline. and a major adjustment of the block's programming. By all means, the block was still pulling right along Nickelodeon and leading, but a number of variables began to change entertainment. 2004 was certainly not 1995, and the clear separation of 9 years became crystal clear. Cable was no longer in its infancy, the general population was widening their use of the internet, and gaming was more mainstream than ever. Additional help didn't come from the Children's Television Act, which was increasingly tightening and mandating educational programming on broadcast networks. The audience now had more options than ever.
Only the Avatar, master of all 4 elements, could stop them. But when the world needed
Yummy! New Jell-O pudding bites, chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry.
Welcome to the Daily Show. I'm Ron Stewart. Great show for you tonight. Don Cheadle will be joining.
Standing tall at 10. Kids WB had seen competitors come and go. Fox Kids, One Saturday Morning. Blocks that had similarly been so prominent, only to quickly fall away. Kids WB was a legend, a single name over the span of a decade. But standing tall at 10, the block was being swayed by a number of significant variables, much of them out of the control of the block itself. With the block losing its dominance against rivals in the age of cable, Kids WB went through significant cuts, as well as major branding and programming shifts. The studio backlot bumpers were joined alongside new alter ego bumpers in which the logo and water tower would transform. Three acquired series, Mega Man NT Warrior, The Boom Crew, which joined the block only a year prior, and Jackie Chan Adventures, arriving in 2000 and once a pillar for the block, wouldn't live beyond 2005. The long-running Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! Duo remained, welcoming Transformers, Cybertron, and Beautiful Joe.
Coco is loco! Maybe I should say it. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is now on Kids WB! Alright, they know! Foster's
Cartoon Network, which had increasingly more Kids WB programming on its network, brought Foster's over to the block, though it only stayed through the year and no further. WB's original programming had some of the greatest alterations. The Batman, Zhaolin Showdown, and Teen Titans welcomed newcomers Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island, Johnny Test, and Lunatics Unleashed. But in the same 12-month time span, What's New Scooby-Doo, as well as longtime icons Mucha Lucha and Static Shock would end their runs. In its final season, Mucha Lucha refreshed not only its intro but title, becoming Mucha Lucha Gigante. While Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island was a rather forgettable waste of airtime, the two other series would leave a lasting impact on audiences. Much in the way action comedy series Zhaolin Showdown became a new mascot for the block the year before, action comedy series Johnny Test would do the same. In its debut season, the series would grab some of the highest viewership ratings on Saturday mornings. Meanwhile, before even debuting, Lunatics Unleashed would face controversy from the Looney Tunes fanbase, seeing the new show as far off from the Looney Tunes the series had been based from. Critics came from everywhere and were very vocal. The series flipped the simplistic goofiness Looney Tunes was known for on its head. Lunatics was a futuristic sci-fi series with a darker tone. The characters were designed with sharp lines and the storylines continued beyond just singular episodes. The sticking point, simply, was that this wasn't Looney Tunes. In response, Kids WB leader Betsy McGowan loved the press, saying, quote, "It's great we're getting all of this attention," And rightfully so. The Lunatics debuted and continued at #1 in ratings against the competition for weeks. While Lunatics and Johnny Test brought eyes to the block, Kids WB would be shortened and compacted, as the network it was built upon was buckling under sharp ratings declines. The weekday afternoon variant of Kids WB that had aired since the block's inception and at the time was dubbed the Aftertoons Show was discontinued. Kids WB was now a single Saturday morning block, albeit with an extra added hour at the beginning of the next year.
Wake up and wear your pillowhead hair proudly. Messy, floppy, crooked pillowhead hair. Because for 1 hour every Saturday morning, pillowheads rule on Kids WB. Yeah!
Saturday mornings started off with a new sub-block, just as kids started summer vacation. Launched in June, Pillowhead Hour would run through the first hour of the block, and feature characters from Kids WB series with Bedhead. The sub-block was used to air the final episodes of Jackie Chan Adventures. Meanwhile, the WB network was in such substantial viewership declines, episode orders of even its primetime shows were cut. A terminal sign. Word of the WB's ratings were spreading throughout the industry, and not much later, the consumers, as news media reported the drops. Time Warner announced layoffs through the year, a majority of which came from employees of the WB network and Kids WB. Rumors gained significant traction. One suspected Time Warner was rapidly proposing a sale of the network to other companies. But it was another rumor, circulating with more momentum. A proposal of CBS's UPN network and the WB joining forces.
Australian crocodile hunter Steve Irwin has died.
This place is full of bullies and maniacs.
Nonsense!
Lighter, brighter. The new Nintendo DS Lite.
Just 24 days into the new year came the WB's death warrant. Only 11 years after its debut, the WB network, along with CBS Corporation's UPN network, would discontinue, replaced by a coordinated network that would take elements of both to create a unified force to compete against the Big Three and Fox, who specifically was going through an age of prosperity, putting them on equal footing with the trio. Because both the UPN network and the WB competed against each other in major metropolitan areas, a slimming down process would have to take place. Only one of the two local stations in competing areas would air the coordinated network. But after banding a number of these abandoned stations together, Fox, whom was facing incredible success, rushed to start a new, smaller network ahead of the launch of this coordinated network. September 1st debuted this network, and the moniker wouldn't seem to have any relation to Fox. The name? My Network TV. While UPN and WB prepared for dismissal, development of the new network was underway. Many series from the WB that were aimed at the young adult demographic were reinstated to continue on the new network. This included Supernatural, Smallville, One Tree Hill, Seventh Heaven, and others, while discontinued programs would air as reruns until enough original content was produced. At the same time, the best of the UPN network would slide onto the coordinated network as well, skewing a wider audience with shows like Everybody Hates Chris, America's Next Top Model, WWE SmackDown, and others. September was the official revolving door, and a major turn in local affiliate programming. UPN, a network beginning on January 16, 1995, along with the WB network starting on January 11th, 1995, and launching within 5 days of each other, were simultaneously shuttered within 2 days of each other. UPN exited broadcast on September 15th, 2006, while the WB had an extended but brief life against its counterpart, ending broadcast on September 17th, 2006.
What is the CW? We have C for CBS, which used to own UPN, plus W for Warner Brothers, equals CW.
With UPN discontinuing their last programming block nearly half a decade before, Kids WB was nominated to continue as the CW's official Saturday morning block.
You're watching Kids WB on the CW15.
September 18th, 2006 was the launch of the CW, and from this point forward, Kids WB had outlived the network it was based from. With the weekday segment gone, Kids WB was now purely a Saturday morning block that had to prove itself sustainable. That wouldn't be impossible. Kids WB still had its iconic name, a name synonymous with some of television's best programming for over a decade, and the slate of content from 2005 was keeping eyes on the block. Even an extra hour was given. However, everything else on the network had a fresh coat of paint. Kids WB was the last remnant of a fading era, and parent company Warner wasn't giving the block any help.
Hey, Pillowheads, this is Giselle, host of the Pillowhead Hour at 7 every Saturday morning here on Kids WB.
The recently developed Pillowhead Hour slid into the 7 a.m. hour. The sub-block was now hosted by a young girl who interviewed guests, and the block shifted its programming to become the time slot compliant with federal educational and informational mandates. After Kids WB joined the CW, the hour was discontinued. Mainstays Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon, both critical in the success the block had through most of the decade, would end their runs on Kids WB after 2006. Pokemon would debut new episodes and reruns exclusively on Cartoon Network, while Yu-Gi-Oh! Would move to 4Kids TV, a rival block owned by the company which licensed the series. Even successor Yu-Gi-Oh! GX would skip Kids WB and premiere on Cartoon Network. It was clear and obvious. Warner was pushing critical content that could potentially extend Kids WB's lifespan onto Cartoon Network instead. Transformers, Coconut Fred's Fruit Salad Island, Beautiful Joe, and Teen Titans would all end their runs on the block. The 4 remaining original series included The Batman, Zhaolin Showdown, Johnny Test, and Lunatics Unleashed. They were joined by 6 newcomers. Crypto the Superdog and Legion of Superheroes were pulled straight from the DC universe. Shaggy and Scooby Get a Clue and Tom and Jerry Tales continued the reuse of Hanna-Barbera properties, while Monster Allergy and Spider Riders are based from books of the same name. Kids WB was still #1 on Saturday mornings, but Saturday mornings didn't matter as much at the time. Ratings were lower than when the block boasted back in the early 2000s. To top that all off, there would be no new Warner Brothers original series for Kids WB after 2006.
37-inch LCD HD TV for only $8.99.
Fox, who had given up its Saturday morning time slot to 4Kids Entertainment, was joined by NBC, who dropped Discovery Kids, as well as CBS, which dropped Nick on CBS, both in 2006. Broadcast networks were simply finding wasted investment on not only building a kids programming block themselves, but aiming at kids in general. There were just too many options for kids' entertainment, especially on cable. By 2007, the only broadcast network-produced Saturday morning block outside of Kids WB was ABC Kids. Cable networks were now so successful, they were draining any broadcast network's attempt of kids programming. Secondary cable networks like Toon Disney, Nicktoons Network, Discovery Kids, and Boomerang had captured an audience, but original networks Disney Channel, Cartoon Network, and Nickelodeon were juggernauts. After Yu-Gi-Oh! And Pokemon's exit in 2006, Warner Brothers' original programming began to drop and migrate from the block as well. The most critical of 2007 was Zhaolin Showdown, a major mascot for the block up to that point, which would end production and continued reruns exclusively on Cartoon Network. Crypto the Superdog would end its run on the block and move to Cartoon Network as well. Lunatics Unleashed ended production that year too and started what would become a 4-year hiatus of the Looney Tunes brand. Johnny Test, Tom and Jerry Tales, Shaggy and Scooby Get a Clue, and Legion of Superheroes were the 4 remaining WB-produced cartoons on a block named Kids WB. Warner gave the revolving door to acquired programming too, investing in 4 new series while dropping Spider Riders and Monster Allergy. Those 4 were Eon Kid, Will and Do It, Skunk Fu, and Magi Nation. By the end of 2007, the longest running series on Kids WB was Johnny Test, a 2-year-old series on a 12-year-old block. Kids WB had no attachment to its identity or its past. It had no programming that audiences 5 years ago could associate with. Things were looking grim for Kids WB, but it only got worse when the writers' strike launched. While the strike was a fight for higher wages for writers working in larger studios, Warner used the time span during the strike to restructure, slashing jobs and eliminating positions. Warner announced layoffs for those working for Kids WB, and while the company saved face when announcing its fall lineup in August, just 2 months later, on October 4th, 2007, the block was given the inevitable confirmation of its death.
Next Saturday, this Kids Network's changing its name to the CW for Kids. Stay tuned.
The final 5 months of Kids WB didn't have any fanfare. No references of the past or cheers of its historic run. The block simply soldiered on. Tom and Jerry Tales, Shaggy and Scooby Get a Clue, Legion of Superheroes, and Johnny Test were the remaining programs produced by Warner Brothers. Acquired series continued to expand, but this was only in preparation for Kids WB's replacement. Magi Nation, Skunk Fu, and Will and Do It were joined by The Spectacular Spider-Man and World of Quest. As summer approached, promos for Kids WB's end began to circulate, and on May 18th, 2008, after a long-standing 12 years, the block so many generations tuned into was over. The following Saturday, for the first time in 661 weeks, audiences wouldn't see the water tower. Kids WB was dead.
This ought to be fun, like taking candy from a baby.
I don't know.
Read 'em and weep. 4 Pikachus. Looks like I win.
What?
My
Wait a minute. What are you talking about?
Can a real Pokemaster get in on this game?
Pokemon, a second episode next on Kids WB.
I win again.